Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Huber begins now.
Good evening. Labor has accused the Liberal Party of losing touch with small businesses, saying the impact of Omicron has left families and businesses struggling. It wants the latest support package to be beefed up as the state government defends its track record through the pandemic.
Tasmanian daily case numbers are still hovering near 1,000. Despite that, CBD streets are noticeably busier than they were during the initial Omicron onslaught. But Labor says businesses are still carrying the scars.
And we are concerned for the families, for the businesses that are being asked to carry Tasmania through what will be a really hard winter.
On Thursday, the state government announced round 3 of its COVID-19 business support program, making grants of between $1,000 and $10,000 available.
But I don't think it should be lost on anybody that $160 million worth of support's been provided to the business community since the start of the pandemic.
Labor is calling for more support measures, pointing to growing Tasmanian bankruptcies as cause for concern. In the last quarter of 2021, the number of insolvent businesses rose to the highest level since the pandemic began. 51 businesses closed their doors, but that's still less than the average from the previous 10 years.
Probably includes some bankruptcies that would have occurred sooner if it hadn't been for the various measures that government's put in place to help small businesses during COVID.
Optimistic for the future, the Tasmanian Small Business Council says the support traders really need is the support of the public.
We need customers still to be going local first, thinking local first, shopping in their local businesses and only going overseas or interstate when particularly necessary.
Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania's daily COVID-19 case numbers have dipped below 1,000. 932 new infections were recorded in the past 24 hours, taking the current total of active cases to 6,640. 14 people remain in hospital, 4 in intensive care. A spectacular view of Tasmania has been captured from space by an international NASA satellite. The bird's eye view of Hobart was taken yesterday afternoon, shortly after 5 o'clock, flying 430 kilometres above ground level. Controversial MP Craig Kelly has arrived in the state to spruik his party's offerings ahead of the federal election. The United Australia leader met with a number of Tasmanian candidates this morning. He's promising freedom of choice for voters while focusing on lowering skyrocketing fuel prices.
We have people with real life experience that have put their hand up and they have said, I do not like what is happening in my country. I want to stand up and try and make a difference.
7 locals are in the running for both upper and lower house seats as the countdown to the campaign begins. After more than 20 hours on the road, a group of serving and ex-serving defence personnel have reached the end of a marathon journey the length of the Kokoda Trail. The team reached the finish line of the Long Patrol Walk at Launceston's Patterson Barracks this morning, having walked to Deloraine and back overnight.
It was a demanding walk, 96 kilometres in rather warm conditions and all on road base. We've got some blisters and we're a bit tender now, but we're very glad to have achieved the mission.
So far, they've raised $10,000 for the Soldier On Foundation, which supports the mental health and well-being of veterans. Thousands of patrons spilled into the Huon Valley today to feast on the region's top produce and beverages. A taste of the Huon reached max capacity on day 1 of the annual event.
A sea of hungry people snacking on tasty treats from the Huon Valley.
We've had some pasta, some gnocchi. We were really excited to see the rosti chalets here because we haven't seen that in quite a while. So we've had a rosti and I think my husband's just gone to get a flame cake.
Tempura mushrooms, always our favourite. We start with those.
Oysters. Oysters, definitely.
Yeah.
I've tried a bit of vegetarian. The fish over there is good. Yep. Squid.
Huge lines winding out of the entrance as record crowds hit max capacity at 5,000. A nice surprise for the organisers of the 29th A Taste of the Huon.
Definitely not expecting it. I suppose my thoughts for 2 weeks have been, are people going to come to the festival? and I was really concerned that they were not going to come. But now they've turned out.
Patrons enjoying live music with their bites and beverages. Margate Vineyard Nardroya, one of 3 wineries offering top drops.
It's also good promotion for us because the most common question is, and where's your vineyard? And we tell them and they say, oh, I drive past there every day. I've been meaning to come in.
While Tasmania's saffron travelled up from Glaziers Bay with plenty of samples.
We're doing gin and tonics, gin and sodas, vodka, like everything with gin and soda, and then we're also selling the saffron and the bottles, of course.
Saying the region has the best.
I think we're one of the greatest places in the world for produce. We grow just about everything. We have the great climate for it, and I think the Taste of the Huon, we get to show that off.
It's just such a nice vibe, I think, like just especially in weather like this, and just seeing, you know, all these beautiful Tasmanian produce out here. So yeah, it's lovely.
Many enjoying the event without mandated masks.
Yeah, it's great. I think that's definitely brought a lot more people down. Yeah.
While everyone enjoys the food, sunshine and music here today, the festivities are far from over. A Taste of the Huon will open its gates tomorrow for the public holiday at 10 a.m. Ruby Kamain, 7 Tasmania News.
It was a Rev Heads paradise in Longford today, with a showroom's worth of classic cars descending on the village green for the annual Motorama. Fords, Ferraris and exotic cars from all across the globe were on display in a celebration of the halcyon days of motorsport.
Today's all about showing the cars off. It's all about the different variety of cars, and there's a lot of these cars that just don't get the opportunity to come out of a shed. They sit there all year.
Longford has a proud history in the sport, hosting the Australian Grand Prix in the 50s and 60s. Launceston's multicultural communities have come together to celebrate the beginning of Harmony Week. The launch took place in conjunction with the World Street Eats Food Festival. Attendees were able to take a taste tour around the globe while enjoying cultural performances. The week concludes with the International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination next Sunday. The Jack Jumpers have held on in the final tense minutes to come out triumphant for an all-important win against the Illawarra Hawks. Jack McVie starred in front of a home crowd, stepping up when it mattered most.
This is a super important game for both teams. The Hawks, 4th on the table.
A fight to remain in the finals race lingered as tip-off began at MyState Bank Arena. The Jack Jumpers shooters bouncing into action early on.
And look at that ball move. Unselfish. Quick hands.
Despite a quick turnaround from a win against the Taipans, there were little signs of fatigue on court for the home side.
Very nice finish with the left hand. Breaks a run of 7 straight points.
Although sitting in 4th position, the Hawks had plenty to fight for.
Harvey, his first field goal of the game.
Josh Majette was getting fans excited, showcasing his form early on with this 3.
Saw last season and going under.
Neck and neck at the quarter-time buzzer, captain Clint Steindl stepped out to set the tone for his side, looking very comfortable behind the arc.
Tailor-made for Clint Steindl, that play.
Illawarra were determined to not let the margin blow out, but the defensive pressure of Sam McDaniel had their shooters in a spin.
It's McDaniel getting a hand in the passing lane.
Which allowed for veteran Jared Weeks to demonstrate his years of experience. Tyler Harvey proving he could match it down the visitors' end.
Let's run just a straight orange twist, all right? And then we'll come back to an OKC.
Roth's words of wisdom translating into a 15-point lead at the half as the Jack Jumpers' defensive structure held up under the ring. The fancy footwork of Josh Adams making a return.
For 3.
Dominating for much of the 3rd quarter, the pressure of an important game didn't appear to be shaking the Jack Jumpers' mission.
Weeks knocked one down in the 2nd quarter.
Steindl back with another 3 to begin the 4th.
Oh my, that is a massive hit to start the 4th quarter.
But the away side began to claw their way back to a 2-point margin in the final seconds.
Jessup at the top of the key.
McVeigh wasn't having it, stepping up to the challenge at crunch time with this layup.
Moment for Jack McVeigh.
With just 10 seconds on the clock, he was back at it again.
There's
And that's all they needed to secure 3 straight wins, keeping their season well and truly alive.
Good team. And there was some nervous...
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmania News.
Good evening. 27 was the state's top in Launceston today, Hobart 26 and 23 in Burnie and Devonport, Grove 26, 25 at Friendly Beaches and 24 the top for King Island. The satellite picture shows smattering crowd across parts of the state, more frequent in the north-east. Convective cloud with embedded thunderstorms laying over northern Australia and over inland New South Wales and Victoria, while middle and low-level cloud can be seen across much of South Australia and the Bight, and a frontal cloud band lies over the Southern Ocean. Tomorrow shows an area of high pressure to the southwest and east of Tasmania, with a cold front in between the highs, and a ridge extends northwards over the eastern states, while several troughs remain to the west. Southwesterly winds of 15 to 20 knots, reaching up to 30 knots about the south and southwest, and swells of 2 to 3 metres in the west and the south. And a strong wind warning is in place for much of the west coast, the central north coast and the southeast coast. To tomorrow's forecast, showers in Hobart, Dover 17, showers developing for Ooze, 23 at the top for Launceston, cloudy in Devonport and Scottsdale 22, partly cloudy in Burnie, Strawn a shower or 2 developing and 22 in Stanley. A top of 20 for St Helens, showers in Swansea and Ross 19. Tomorrow's UV is still sitting at a high 7. To the 3-day forecast, mostly fine in the southwest on Tuesday with showers elsewhere, a top of 25 in Launceston. Mainly fine conditions continue into Wednesday for the southwest and far south with showers for the rest of the state. And showers on Thursday, more frequent about the west, northwest and northeast, 26 in Hobart. Across the country tomorrow, 27 in Brisbane, partly cloudy in Adelaide, 37 in Alice Springs and a shower or 2 and a possible storm in Darwin. And right now in Hobart, it's 19 and partly cloudy, Launceston 24 and sunny, Devonport 20 and partly cloudy. That's all your weather for tonight, Lou.
And that's all your news for this Sunday evening. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a lovely one. Good night.